Alright. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sean Stewart Show. Joe on the FanDuel Hotline. He is the host of K-Side Bitches, which airs every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, please welcome my good friend, Mr. Stephen Rychel, to the program. Welcome, Stephen. How are you doing today?
Not been better. I mean, with all the craziness that's going on in MMA, life, the world right now, China died this morning.
Yes, I did.
Literally, just seen that print. They just found Prince dead. What the hell's going on with the world?
I know. I didn't hear about China passed away at like 2 in the morning.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Tells you how precious life is, my friend.
Exactly, and she died of a overdose, what I'm hearing.
That's just rough.
I know. Now, is there any special guest that's coming on Sunday's program, if I ask?
Still waiting on confirmation on a few, but gonna have my good friend Serena Southpaw is gonna be joining us. Shannon Sims is gonna be fighting on the upcoming Invicta card against Christine Stanley, who's gonna be joining us, and like I said, just waiting for a few more confirmations there. So yeah, gonna have some more fun as we always do Sunday night.
Okay, now, before we get into the UFC 197 fights and the UFC on Fox, there was a big news this week that Conor McGregor was going to retire. Like, I did not really buy into that because I was like, he's not really retiring. But we found out, like, what was the reason why he didn't want to fight. By the way, because he didn't want to promote the fight. So I'm figuring like he was going to do that for like UFC in New York, since they passed the law. So what do you make about this? Conor McGregor was supposed to retire, but now he's saying he's not retiring because he did put out a message earlier on Facebook.
Let's clear something up right now. We all know that he's going to be fighting again shortly. He will fight again before the end of the year. I can guarantee that. I mean, everyone's like, oh, this is a ploy for him to get paid more and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't think the money thing's the issue. I mean, God banked in like $18 million for his last two fights, so I think he's okay in that department. I mean, I think it boils down to a couple things. I mean, a lot of fighters in the past have talked about, the pressure of performing at the top level while also, flying all over the world promoting these fights for these promoters. And I think that, that coupled with, receiving his first loss in the UFC and wanting to concentrate on his training, it kind of, brought things to a head, so to speak. And I think, like, we talked about it again a few weeks ago, the kid that, that died, Conor McGregor was their case side, at the hands of one of his teammates. I think that's another thing that's kind of like weighing on him there as well. So, I mean, I'll say this much: I'll guarantee you see Conor McGregor at the UFC event that they're going to hold in New York on November 12th. Regardless of what happened. And the funny thing is, like, you even hear Dana White, he's like, "Oh well, Conor could still wind up getting back onto this card." I'm like, this is almost like he's taunting him, like basically, don't say anything stupid and I'll let you come back and fight on this event. It's just like one thing after another. But I mean, last night I think it officially came down that they did remove Nate Diaz from the event. So I mean, this is just been a crazy 48 hours.
So it's like, okay, Conor McGregor's out of the UFC 200, so is Nate Diaz. So it's like, are they going to get back, or like, is the show's going to go on?
Well, no, see, I think a lot boils down onto what happens between OSP and John Jones. John Jones happens to make quick work of Ovince St. Preux and gets out of there unscathed, undamaged, won't have to serve any medical suspension or anything like that. I think it's a high possibility that we see John hop on that UFC 200 card and fight Daniel Cormier.
Hopefully we can see that. I really want to see that fight, UFC 200, between Daniel Cormier and John Jones.
The other wild card is that George St. Pierre manages to find a way onto that card. I still think I still think they're going to hold Georgia off, and they're going to get him on that New York card. I guarantee it. I know everyone wants to see it. 200 in Vegas. It makes sense. It makes sense. Actually, it makes more sense for New York because the simple fact that people don't understand the connection he has with New York. He's at the Enzo Academy that they're in New York. He trained there. John Danaher, who's been his one of his grappling instructors for I don't know how long. That's where he calls home. I wouldn't surprise me to see him make his return come November 12th.
Right. By the way, UFC 197, it is this Saturday. You have John Jones and Ovi St. Preux for the main event, and then for the co-main event, it is Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson and Henry Cejudo for the UFC flyweight. I'm also interested in seeing Anthony Pettis and Edson Barboza, and also Yair Rodriguez and Andre Phil. Don't forget about Robert Whitaker and Rafael Natal. So all 5 of those cards, I'm really interested in seeing.
I love OFC. I would like to see him kind of, give Jones a run for his money, possibly even, humble the former champion. Just part of me just doesn't see it happening. John has been so insanely dominant in that weight class for so long, and the fact that he is now just actually, hitting his, what we call the man body, anywhere from 27 to 32 years old is usually when, the guys usually hit their physical prime in there. So kind of a head scratcher to see the Henry Cejudo and Demetrius Johnson. No one has tested Demetrius since the tournament the UFC put together to crown the inaugural champion, and there was the controversial draw, whatever it was. It was forced him to do an immediate rematch with Dimitri and Ian McCall, which was a completely different fight the second time around. But I think that's the one that's more interesting. Henry's very decorated Olympic wrestler. Dimitri is arguably one of the more dynamic and well-rounded champions that the UFC's had in quite some time. It's what they're doing out there in Seattle is pretty impressive there. With what they're doing. The question is can he put it together? Can he actually challenge and test the untested, unbattled champion? It's Demetrius Johnson, for lack of a better term, ran John Dodson straight to bantamweight, who was pretty impressive last Sunday with the 37-second starching of Manny Gambarian. So, you see how some of these things play out. It's almost getting to the point, will they find anyone to test Demetrius Johnson? We looked like we were going to have an Ultimate Fighter season crowning number one contender, but that just didn't work out as well as they wanted to. They wanted to scrap it that one. And you were even talking about some of the undercards on tonight on
Saturday.
197 this weekend. After Escudero and Kevin Lee is kicking off the preliminary fight pass card, which is insane because those Escudero's a former tough winner. Motown Kevin Lee is he's an exciting fighter. I don't get why that's kicking off the preliminary, but. Big Ticket Harris is going to be fighting Cody East to round out the preliminary fight pass card, and then the preliminary undercard. Sergio Pettis is making his return to the cage. Dominique Steele and Danny Roberts are going to go at it. You got some women's strawweights, Carla Esparza, making her longer way to return from being out for damn near a year from the shoulder surgery. She's going to be taking out Juliana Lima. Andre Feely's going to be in the card. As you'd already mentioned, Happy Natal, Robert Whitaker, and the spinning wow craziness fight in Anthony Pettis and Barbosa. We'll see how everything ends up playing out with the event. Numbers wise, fight wise. The MMA fan always finds something to complain about, but it's definitely interesting to say the least.
And Juliana Lima used to fight for Invictiva, and like you said, she is going to face former women's strawweight champ Carla Esparza. So this one, I'm very excited for that fight.
She was actually originally slated to fight Jessica Aguilar.
But she
had to be
injured.
Pulled due to a knee injury, and then got replaced by Carla. So either way, fun fight. Hopefully, Carla can get back to her winning ways. Nothing against Juliana Lima. It's just, Carla Esparza has been, one of the premier women's strawweights in the world for quite some time.
Exactly. Hosted K-Size Ridge and Steve Rychel on the FanDuel Hotline. Now, there is a upcoming fight tomorrow, by the way. It is Bellator 153. And you know who's going to be in that card? Benson Henderson. I can't wait for that fight. So this will be his first fight in the Bellator, and he will face against Andrei Korskov.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things with everything that's going on. I mean, no one's talking about Benson Henderson could arguably be the first, modern day fighter to win, a WEC title, a UFC title, and a Bellator title. No one's talking about that. Why?
That's a very good question.
It's going to be it's an exciting time. I mean, I know Korskov is, I think, kind of being undershadowed here. He's 18-1 in his career. He has, lethal striking. Benson, arguably one of the better mixed martial arts on the planet. Just, well-rounded cardio, wrestling, striking, the whole nine. We're all excited about the welterweight titles on the line for Bellator. We're not even talking about Patricio Pitbull's is going to be fighting Henry Corrales on the card. Irish Brennan Ward making his return against Mr. Santos. If I remember correctly, I think that's Chris Cyborg's ex-husband. Michael Venom Page will be making his return against Jeremy Holloway. Michael Page really, I love what he does to bring excitement to the cage. They need to be putting these guys against some better guys, man. I just don't get it. I just don't get it at all. Like even last week, they when they were in Italy Saturday, they had their women's Russian kind of like their little project girl there. She's that was her third professional fight, and literally had her going up against them. Well, arguably, she looked like a soccer mom making a professional debut. Hadn't had an amateur fight in the last 3 years. It's one of these things. Is like as much as we love what Bellator is doing, they also need to watch who they're matching some of their younger fighters up against. Like, it's all well and good when you have your Timbo Slicers versus Thompson rematches of the world. That's fine. You're allowed to have those fights, but when you're also developing your talent, you can't put them against inferior competition. You start doing stuff like that, you're going to go down a road you don't want to go down. Michael Page needs to step up in competition. Nothing against Jeremy Holloway. He after this fight, he's going to be. If he is victorious, he will be 10-0. No more of that. You need to put him against named guys. I know he's starting to get up there in that welterweight division. I don't know if he's ready for the Korskov Hendersons of the world, but he should start getting some of those guys in that top 10 in that weight class. And there's other fights on this card that are still very impressive. Getting back to the actual card there instead of going off of my lane. Brett Previous, 6-0 is going to be going against Justin Santos. Freeman is 6-0. Santos is 27-5. This is, see what I mean? There's no common ground. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Exactly.
You have the young son, and then you put him up against a super experienced veteran. There's no in between. It drives me nuts. Now here, the next fight, Chris Honeycutt and Matt Secor. Matt 7-2, Chris is 6-1. They're both, been around the sport for a handful of years. That's a good match. This is what I'm talking about. You have to have that. You can't have such disparity. And then, for former Ultimate Fighter consent test, and Richard Pashnok also is going to be, I believe he'll be making his second return to the Bellator cage. But like I said, plenty of good matchups. Matt Patel, Keith Richards. I actually like this card tomorrow night for Bellator.
Exactly. Both.
Keegan's son in Connecticut.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You said Euclidville, Connecticut. That's how you pronounce it, correct?
I think it's, Euclidville.
Yes, that's how I say it, Euclidville, Connecticut. Now there is a fight that's been added to UFC 199. That is Max Holloway and Ricardo Lamas. Now Holloway has won 8 straight fights since a unanimous decision loss to Conor McGregor back in August of 2013. But during that time, he has beaten Jeremy Stephens.
Remember that he blew his knee out in that fight. Let's not forget about that.
Thank you so much.
I keep forgetting about that. I don't get it.
I don't know why.
Talking about kind of that. Max Holloway bought that fight with basically 1 1/4 knee. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's okay. He has beaten Jeremy Stephens, Charles Oliveira, Cub Swanson, and Cole Miller. And for Lamas, he entered the matchup having won 3 of his last 4 in the octagon. He has recently he took a 3-round verdict over Diego Sanchez at UFC Fight Night in Monterrey, Mexico this past November. He is 7-2 in the UFC competition overall, including wins over Dennis Bermudez, Hakan Diaz Swanson, and Hatu Hikoki. That's it.
All right, now, I mean, this is one of the reasons you gotta love MMA. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. Hearing Ariel Helwani and Luke Thomas talk about it is arguably, for people who are involved in the media side, it has to be the best beat, because you just don't have any downtime or dry season. There's always something to talk about with MMA. It's a beautiful thing, my friend. It's a beautiful thing.
Now here is some other fights that's happening outside the United States. Mansour Bowery, Matsu Garment for a lightweight title at KSW 35. Now KSW 35 will take place on May 27th at the Ergo Arena in Gospov, Poland, and features a middleweight championship title between Marov Karlov and Aziz Kargov. Additionally, strongman Poduflik will lock horns with Marcin Rozalski at a heavyweight title, while Michael Machola meets Kendall Groove at 185 pounds. This event will be available on online pay-per-view at kswtv.com.
Yeah, I love the overseas stuff. I mean, I actually think Ravens really dropped the ball this past weekend. I mean, they had an event. They had Gabby Garcia was fighting on. Darren Cruikshank, former, Ultimate Fighter contestant, UFC fighter, made his promotional debut, won by punches and soccer kicks. It was, I mean, when you have a promotion like that, I know, you kind of keep to your market when, you're not having these big fights, but you need to find a way to get it over here in the United States just as much as when, you need to make sure, just like the American market, we just does its best to make sure that they get their fights out overseas. It's some of these, these companies overseas, I think we need to stop dropping the ball. Same thing like, ONE FC. The last time that, anyone's, talking about ONE FC, Ben Askren just defended his title and actually had a fight. and no one's talking about it. Sometimes I think the oversaturation is starting to take effect a little bit.
Now here's a Japanese MMA league. Shuto and sister organization Val Tudo Japan will live stream at least 5 shows on UFC Fight Pass in 2016. Broadcast schedules for both promotions were announced Wednesday during a press conference in Tokyo. Shuto will make his Fight Pass debut this Saturday, April 23rd, when Fight in March inaugurates live from Mahawa in Japan. 2 world titles will be online, with Masaki Sawa making his first defense at 125 pounds against Hiromu Akagawa, plus Koshi Masuru and Yukari Kawawa vying for a vacant 155 pound match. And following Saturday's card, Shuto will return with Vince on July 17th and November 12th, both set to take place at Kuroko Hall in Tokyo, Japan. So I'm kind of excited. So we're gonna see one in UFC Fight Pass, and then we're gonna see the preliminary fights on UFC 197 on UFC Fight Pass, like those first 3 events.
We pulling out the laptop and watching things on television. The fun time is always.
Thank you so much. Host of K-Side Schmidt and Steve Rychel on the FanDuel Hotline. Now, where can my listeners find you on social media?
As always, you can check me out on Twitter. That's at CSS Radio. You can, as always, make sure you're tuning in every Sunday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Blog Talk Radio. You can also check out the previous shows and links on iTunes, Stitcher, BJ Video Phone app, KSideSubmissions.com. You can also make sure you're showing us love on Facebook. Give the fan page a like that. And, just type in K-Side Submissions, pop right up. Also, make sure you're showing my co-host Rychel some love there for giving her a follow. And other than that, as always, thanks for having me on, and looking forward to talking again next week, bro.
Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. That was host of K-Side Schmidt, Steve Rychel on the FanDuel Hotline. I will have you on next week, my friend.